Hey gang, so today we're going to do part 2 of the transfer series. All you're going to need is some Mod Podge and the work that you were working on last week. If you didn't join us for last week's video, it's on the YouTube channel. You don't have to follow along if you don't want to. All you need to do is print out an image and coat it with about 4 to 5 coats of Mod Podge, letting each layer dry in between, and then follow along from there. So last week I did 4 coats, and I'm gonna just do one more coat right now before I get started. I'm gonna make sure that it's a pretty thick and generous one, and then I'm gonna set it out aside to dry. Feel free to use a blow dryer if you want to speed up the process a little bit. And then when you're done with that and it's all dry, take it over to the sink and you're gonna wet the back of it. And right off the top, I just ripped right through the middle of my image, but hey, this is a good way to show that sometimes accidents happen in art and we gotta work with that. And so anyways, I'm gonna get a sponge and I'm gonna start to remove the pulp of the paper from the back of the Mod Podge. So the Mod Podge acts like a layer of this plastic substance. The ink has now attached to the Mod Podge. So when you remove the paper from behind, you're still going to have the image transferred onto this plastic-like substance. Super fun way to transfer. One of the techniques that I like to use is after I wet the back of the piece, the side that has the paper exposed, I will use alternate between my finger and the sponge to sort of roll and lift up the paper. And then it's like super satisfying when you have a nice edge and you can roll up a huge chunk of the paper. Woo, so nice. So anyways, take your time with this process. The Mod Podge, especially when it's wet like this, it can be pretty sensitive. So don't rush too much, just be patient and slowly chip away at the pulp and until you get a layer that's mostly just the Mod Podge. It's okay if there's like a tiny little bit of the pulp left, but you really want to have it to where it's mostly see-through. And now that I'm done, I'm gonna rinse away any remaining pulp that I couldn't get off with the sponge. I'm going to let it hang to dry for a little bit, clean up my workstation as always, and pick off the pulp from the sponge. So now that that is done, I prepped my page on the sketchbook. I got a damp paper towel and I softened off any remaining pulp that might be there. And the cool thing about Mod Podge is it also acts as an adhesive, so I'm just going to do that thin layer on my sketchbook page before I lay my image on top. And since I have that tear there, I'm going to take a little extra time to be sure that I aligned the line of the tear so it looks seamless. And then I'm just going to even out any bubbles that I might have on the page with my fingers, trying to stay pretty delicate with it, even out the edges, get everything looking nice and flat, kind of let that hang out for a moment. While that's setting, I figured might as well spruce up this other side and make the colors that I added last week look a little bit more vibrant. So I've got some colored pencils which layer super nicely on top of acrylic paint. So that's kind of fun. When you look up close, I really like the difference in layers and the texture of like colored pencil and then paint and then more colored pencil. Just, it gives it this rich depth, which is super satisfying. Alright, and now that it looks like my Mod Podge transfer has set, I'm going to get a little bit more of the Mod Podge and just spruce up the edges to make sure that it stays adhered on nicely and prevents any possibility of it lifting up in the future. And then I decided that this transfer from last week, it was missing her being grounded, so I'm adding some blue and purple and green colored pencil and sort of having her be weighted down to the page and give the illusion that she really is sitting down, and here's some cast shadow. And anyway, I think it's super fun having both of these processes on the same sketchbook page, well, like two separate pages with the same, I don't know, let's call this a chapter. Just because you can like really get a feel for the possibilities that you can have with transfer. And anyways, I'm really happy with the way this looks, and I hope you all had fun. Please leave some photos in the comments below. I'd love to see what you all worked on this week. And have a great day.